So this is going to be a demo on doing a walk cycle, and we're going to use the Ultimate Bony Rig. The Ultimate Bony Rig is a free rig you can find and download. There are a few different, there's a Bony regular, and there is the Bony Beefy. Let me just go ahead and pull that up for you if you can find it real quick. Here we go. So here's the Ultimate Bony Rig, and you got Ultimate Beefy and some others. Who made these? Uger Uvjetskin. So thank you, Uger. Not quite sure how to pronounce your name, but you made a pretty decent rig for all of us to use, so thank you. We're going to do a reference, so I will create a reference. There's our reference there. I have the Ultimate Bony. There he is. So I've got my Maya file, and we're going to reference that in. We reference in our rig for animation. But you're probably going to have some odd display errors here. To fix that, just go to lighting and say two-sided lighting, and that should be good. If you open up your outliner, you'll notice he has a selection set made for you. I'm going to create a custom shelf, or on my custom shelf here, I'm going to make a selection set for all controls. So I select all the controls from his selection set, and I'm going to go to my shelf editor. I don't even need to do that, just go to my script editor rather. Let's do a new mail script, and so edit, clear history, select one, go down, select all. I'm going to copy and paste that into my mail script editor. We will delete this second select R, and now basically that's just select minus R, and then it lists all the controls with the namespace in front. So I can say file, save script to shelf, and we'll call it BNY all for Bony all. And there she is. There we go. Now, let's go ahead and get ourselves ready to do the walk cycle. There's a lot of online resources for looking at what poses. I think the Animation Survival Kit has a very good breakdown, so I recommend looking that up or buying that book. It's available. It's a good one to have. I'm going to go ahead and go into my, well, let's just keep them here and let's just kind of get things a little more neutral. So I'm going to grab the two arms, rotate them kind of down there. That's going to put us in a little bit more of a neutral state. We might as well get these hands in a more neutral state just to begin with. There we go. Grab these ones. I just figure we're going to do this, want something like this eventually anyway. We don't want to have those just weird static hands. So that will be kind of nice. I might also put a little bend in the elbow just sort of kind of neutralize our pose. That already feels like how a guy would normally stand. Great. Let's think about timing and posing for this. So I think we're going to go ahead and try this on like a 24 frame walk cycle. So I'm going to give myself 25 frames down here in my timeline. So I'll do this at my max to 25 and then that one to 24. So the frame 1 and frame 24, frame 1 and frame 25 will be the same frame, just copied over. So we'll select all, and we'll just set a keyframe for frame number 1, and let's go ahead and get that first pose. So the first pose is going to be the contact, right? So let's bring this guy out here, back. Contact, the hips on the contact are already on their way down, but we are not quite there 100%. I do actually like this ability here on the Bony Rig to hide controls. I'm going to add that control into this layer at selected objects. There we go. So that way I'm just kind of worried about the lower half of the body. The walk cycle is going to stem from here and work its way up. So I'll put a little bit of rotation there for the hips to open up, and we'll keep it pretty neutral on the tilt. Let's go into the right view, or left view rather, and we can take a look. On this contact pose, we want this extended as far as we can, but then bring it back so that it's not popping. Also, we're going to use there's a few different controls here. I'm going to keep the heel ball is the one I'm going to use. I don't want, because the walk cycle I know is going to happen over 24 frames, if I make the legs too far apart, it's going to feel like he's going really fast. So to keep it more neutral, we'll have a slightly smaller gait. Legs won't stretch out quite so much. So there we go. This foot will be hitting its heel on the ground with a nice straight leg. The back leg, meanwhile, is lifting its heel off the ground and it's, ready to come up. So grab all, make sure I have that key selected, and let's go to the complete opposite and we'll set the same frame but we'll reverse it. So I'll go to frame 13, hit a keyframe, and now let's just kind of go back here. This one come here, zero out that keyframe, and I can kind of check out what this one was. It was a 3.3 and a 1.8. Let's just put that at 1.9. Why not, right? So this was 1.9, negative 1.9, and we'll give it the roll of the 3.3, and we'll see how we're doing. This one here was a negative 9, so on this one we'll do a positive 9. This one we had rotated on the previous frame at negative 30, so here, put that one at negative 30. Take the heel ball down to 0. And let's see, this is going to be the same on either side, and it looks like we're doing pretty good. Yeah. That one was 1.4, 1.49 or so. So this one at negative 1.49. Make sure that stays at 0 on the translate Y. Move this one back a little bit. Not sure what's going on, why that one is so different from this one. But I'm not going to be too worried about it. You know what it is? In fact, that one's off the ground a little bit. There we go. Now we got about the same. Okay, so we've got those two. Make sure we do have everything keys selected on both of these. I like to have auto key turned on right here. You see it's red and selected. And we can also go ahead and copy frame 1 over here to frame 25. So I'm using the caret keys to step through the animation here. Now if I were to press play, because I had these on auto spline, we're just going to get this goofy little movement. I'm going to take it off auto spline on my auto keys. So on the animation settings here, the little cog that's chasing a guy, click on him, we'll go to the animation settings, and on the default alt tangent I'm going to switch it to stepped. Then I'm going to shift select across the timeline and we'll go tangents, make stepped, and so now I'm just going to get this. So let's go ahead and put some keyframes here, and 19. So these will be sort of our passing poses, right? So on the passing pose, I'm going to go ahead and put the Y rotation at 0 on the tilt of the hip. This guy, he's going to be on the ground now, so we'll rotate it at 0. We'll put the Y at 0. And we'll move him back underneath the hips there. This guy will take the heel ball off. And basically when the foot's touching the ground or is on the ground, I like to use these controls, but as soon as the foot comes off the ground, I like to lift it off the ground. Or I mean, once it's off the ground, I like to zero these out and I control everything with the rotations and translations. I don't like to have my heel ball being used while it's off the ground. Try to keep those to a minimum. So here we go, there's our passing pose, so 1, 2. Now in the passing pose, I'm going to keep the height of both these about the same right now. The extremes for the up down are actually going to come in between on frames 4, 10, 16, and 22. Alright, so there's that one. We do, however, want to come ahead and look. We'll deal with the tilt of the hips when we get into the front view. So this frame, let's go ahead and bring it down to rotate 0, translate 0, bring it back underneath the hips. This one, we want to take the heel ball off, and we'll lift up the foot into a passing pose right there. For kind of a generic walk cycle, we're lazy humans, so keep the foot just barely scraping off the bottom of the ground. We're really good at this. We've been walking our whole lives. We don't have to worry too much about our feet rubbing. That's why we don't stub our toes. We're so good, but we literally are keeping our feet just barely skimming the ground. Let's zero out that one there. Okay. Alright, so this is looking pretty good. Stepped animation. Now let's go ahead and put in poses, these sort of breakdown poses, which are going to be in between our main keyframes. So I will take first of all, let's make sure we do have keyframes set on everyone. Oops. So we're just going to go through here and make sure we do have keyframes. 1 is the same as 25. So on this frame, I want to actually use Tween Machine. If you guys don't use Tween Machine, I highly recommend getting it. There we go. So I open up my Tween Machine. Check it out online. You can find it, and there's good instructions on how to load Tween Machine into Maya. Maybe I'll make a video just on loading Tween Machine so you can figure out how to use it. So now with all the components selected, I'm just going to go ahead and give myself perfect in-betweens, 50% on each one of these. And I like this option here for these to have a special tick color. So when I hit it, it actually turns the tick green, kind of indicating a breakdown. So I go back to this frame and hit another one. 50% right there, right in the middle, and one more right here. So this already is going to start to give me some decent, something in about the right place. We know that needs to be a 0, so I'll go ahead and throw it down there, and that needs to be a 0. Same thing again here, right? The heel ball though was going to, if I can, keep it a 0. No, maybe okay. Yep. Alright, this guy I'm going to bring down here. That's 0. And Y. This one I know actually needs to kick out a little bit, so let's favor this way a little bit. Well, see how we're doing here. So we're walking, but we have no up down. So let's go ahead and find out where we want these extremes. So here, the hips are headed downwards, right? And then it's that compression, right? From here to here, that's where we're hitting. So that's going to be our down. Then we start to work our way up. Now we go to our high pose here. So that's going to be our highest pose as the leg starts reaching out. So the high is on frame 10. Kind of makes you kind of, well, maybe what we'll do is we'll keep that the high and we'll start dropping on frame 13. So 13, let's have it start to make its way down. Let's just mark that at like negative 0.2. Negative 0.25. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and set that same keyframe. So if this is, we're coming down there, then we're going to go compression. So this needs to be the same as 16, so I'm going to go ahead and copy that. So frame 4 is the after I land, so I'm compressing, so that's negative 0.368. To copy that, I'll just go to 4, middle mouse to frame 6, and hit S to set. Oops, can't have that channel selected. Hit the letter S, and that will copy the keyframe. Of course, as soon as I do that, it makes it red. Right? Oh well, I can change that actually in my key convert to breakdown. There we go. And we go up again, so we know our up pose is right here, so we want that to be the same as frame 22. Keyframe, convert to breakdown. We decided that frame 13, so this one's going to be in between frame these two, so let's go ahead and make that 50%. And here we're on our way back down again. So that we'll put there. And here as well. At a 50%. So now we have some nice up down in our animation as well. Let's see if there's anything else we want to add while we're at this. I know we need to get into the front view to take a look. So I'm just kind of wondering if there's anything here in the side view that might help. We might want to put a little bit of a toe. You have a toe up down. So now that the foot's touching the ground, I can start to employ that. That might be good. Maybe do on this pose as well, a little toe up down, and then we're down. So I'll copy that frame to frame 1. Let's take a look at our front view. So it's looking pretty good, but we need to do some rotation of the tilting of the hips this way and that way, right? To make this a little easier, I'm going to go ahead and give myself, let's hide our outliner. We can shrink down our channel box for sure. And I'm going to give myself 2 views, so I'm going to go ahead and go to my right view, or my left view here. And then I'm going to do panels, orthograph or layouts, 2 splanes, 2 side by side. And this one we're going to go to front view. There we go. Lighting, 2-sided lighting. There we go. So now looking at these kind of the side by side, I'm going to be able to do kind of know which frame I'm on. So there's this one, and I know when as soon as I hit, and once I get to that passing pose, this is going to be the most extreme that the tilt hip is tilted. So we're going to be tilting this way, right? So you can decide how much tilt you want to give it. I'm just going to not overdo it. And now the other extreme is going to be on the other passing pose right here, frame 19. That's the other tilt. Okay. We know neutral is going to be right about here for the tilting. So we can just, we have it zeroed out. There's our extreme. So right here, I'm just going to go ahead and say 50% on that. So there we are, still tilting just a little bit on that foot leg, and then we're going to transfer, boom, start to pick it up. So start to grab. Keep it back on that back leg. Now, to look at this, I'm going to go ahead and open up my graph editor. So if I switch into animation, usually just puts my graph editor down there for me. There it is. Let's just look at my rotate Z's. And I should, if I just switch these momentarily into here, I should have a nice up. There's my extreme, right, for the tilt on the passing pose. And then it should start to work its way. So I need to move that key a little bit. Here, it's starting to work its way back a little bit, the tilt, and then boom, it hits the ground, goes to the other extreme, and then starts to work its way back again. I'll grab these two. So now you're going to see us right over this from frame pose 1 to pose 4. That's where you're absorbing all that weight. So you're going to see the hip absorb that weight, right? We'll slide these back into stepped animation. Now the other thing we want to do is when we're basically on this passing pose, you're standing on one leg, and if you don't move your weight over that leg, you're going to fall over. So let's go ahead and start to shift left to right based on where the legs are walking. So here's our passing. Once again, that's going to be our extreme this side. So I'm going to move it over slightly. Frame 19 is going to be our other passing pose, extreme this way. Let's take a look at our translate X's. We're about even on either side. And so now, boom, so once we get over there, we're going to make our way over. And we're going to stay over there until we start to walk our way back. So now we're going to be almost we're right neutral. And now we're going to be over this way to the other extreme. Work our way back to neutral. So you can decide, do I want to favor one side and then even step my way back. So I want to kind of favor the lateral movement on the walk and then kind of come back the other way, right? So you can see I'm kind of controlling the spacing. Another nice thing to put into walk cycles is when the foot hits the ground and crosses over, to kind of bring it over a little to the left. So for all poses, when the foot is touching the ground, I'm going to bring it over, and then once it comes off the ground, so you basically have 1, 2, 3, there's about 2 poses really from here to there. The foot is kind of swinging out and around. So I'm going to grab these poses there, and we're just going to bring them in, so it's kind of on the center line. So now you can see the foot is there until it comes off the ground. It's going to work its way and swing its way off. Not that one. I don't want to take a swing until I get to there. Yeah, it was these two. I had it wrong. -1.49. Now let's do the same thing on this guy. Translate X. These are the two frames that are not going to move. The rest of them are. So just slide them over there until they touch about the center. So now you can see there's a little bit of swing out with the foot. If it feels like it's too much, just bring it back in. This is another thing where we're just really good at getting that foot to travel right in there, really close, not kicking ourselves. If you feel like the translate X is ever too much, just grab all the keys above and below, the 0, and then just scale them down. Right, just middle mouse, keep it vertical, and now we're scaling down. Looking really good. Alright, so we're going to take a pause here, and then we'll kind of turn on the rest of the body and figure out what else.